The day had begun with a glimmer of normalcy, but Allicia knew better than to expect it to last. She had spent the morning combing through the dusty back room of Raine Investigations, sorting through piles of forgotten paperwork and old files left behind by her grandfather. The space was cramped and dimly lit, the scent of old paper and mildew clinging to the air. Each creak of the wooden floorboards and the faint hum of the office's ancient radiator only added to the sense of unease that had clung to her since her arrival in Blackwood. It was as she reached the bottom of an old filing cabinet, its drawers rusted and stubborn, that she noticed something peculiar. Beneath a pile of faded photographs and brittle newspaper clippings was an ornate wooden box. Its surface was covered in intricate carvings, the designs so delicate they seemed almost alive. Allicia brushed off the layer of dust, her fingers tracing the swirling patterns. As she lifted the latch, a faint melody seemed to hum from nowhere, so soft she might have imagined it. Inside the box lay a leather-bound journal, its cover cracked with age. Allicia's breath caught in her throat as she flipped through its pages. The handwriting was unmistakable, her grandfather's. The entries were fragmented and strange, filled with cryptic observations and warnings. One page read, "The hollow whispers its secrets. Blackwood's foundation rests on lies. They've all forgotten, but it remembers." Another entry described an antique mirror, the very same one now in her rented house, and spoke of strange occurrences surrounding it. The writings grew more erratic as they continued, describing visions, whispers, and a sense of being watched. One passage stood out. "They are not of this world. Their whispers carve into the mind, making it hollow. Beware the mirror. Beware the hollow ones." Allicia's pulse quickened. The cryptic warnings felt too close to her recent experiences to dismiss. Her thoughts were interrupted by a loud crash from the front of the office. She froze, her hand instinctively reaching for the knife at her belt. The sound had come from near the main desk. Stepping cautiously into the main room, she found a pile of papers scattered across the floor. The window above the desk had been left slightly ajar, allowing a cold breeze to sweep in. She scanned the room, her instincts on high alert, but there was no sign of anyone else. Gathering the papers, she couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, had been there. Her grandfather's journal felt heavy in her hands, its presence unsettling. She decided it was time to dig deeper into Blackwood's secrets. Her grandfather's writings had mentioned the hollow, and she had seen references to it in old town folklore during her initial research. If answers existed, the library seemed the logical next step. Before leaving, she placed the journal back in the wooden box and locked it in her desk drawer. As she secured it, she caught her reflection in the office window. For a fleeting moment, it seemed wrong, distorted, almost hollow, but when she blinked, it was gone. She shook her head and hurried out, locking the office door behind her. The Blackwood Public Library was as foreboding as it was grand, its brick facade heavy with ivy and age. The thick wooden doors groaned as Allicia pushed them open, stepping into the dimly lit interior. The scent of old books filled the air, mingling with the faint tang of wood polish. It was quiet, the kind of silence that carried weight. At the front desk sat a woman with sharp eyes behind thin glasses. Her gaze followed Allicia with unnerving precision as she approached. "I'm looking for information on the hollow," Allicia said, keeping her tone neutral. "It's tied to Blackwood's history." The librarian's expression tightened. "That's not a subject people ask about often," she said quietly. "Follow me." Allicia was led through a maze of shelves to a secluded corner filled with ancient tomes and town records. The librarian pulled a leather-bound book from a high shelf and handed it to her. "This is one of the few mentions of it. Be careful what you dig up." Settling into a creaky chair, Allicia began to read. The book blended folklore with unsettling historical accounts. It described the hollow as a realm beneath Blackwood, where reality thinned and eldritch beings known as the Hollow Ones dwelled. The town's founders had supposedly struck a pact with these entities, exchanging protection and prosperity for something dark and unnamed. One passage sent a chill through her. The Hollow Ones dwell where light cannot reach. They are the memory of the void, eternal and hungry. Beware their whispers, for they seek to make all hollow like themselves. As she copied notes into her journal, the atmosphere in the library shifted. The dim light seemed to grow heavier, and a faint pressure built in her ears. She glanced around, her instincts prickling with unease. At the edge of her vision, she caught the briefest flicker of movement. But when she turned, there was nothing. The sensation of being watched grew unbearable. Allicia snapped the book shut, thanked the librarian, and left quickly, her pulse racing. Outside, the late afternoon sun hung low, casting long, jagged shadows across the town. The walk to her car felt longer than it should have, every sound magnified by her frayed nerves. She had just unlocked her car door when a voice broke the tension. "Miss Raine, is it?" Allicia spun around, her hand instinctively reaching for her pocket-knife. Standing a few feet away was a man in a sheriff's uniform, his broad shoulders and weathered face exuding authority. The badge on his chest gleamed in the fading light. "You startled me," Allicia said, lowering her guard, but not her caution. "Can I help you?" The sheriff nodded, his expression unreadable. "Name's Sheriff Dalton. I heard you've been asking around about the Hollow. Thought I'd introduce myself." Allicia's instincts flared again. "That's right. It's tied to my grandfather's work. Is there a problem?" Dalton scratched his chin, his gaze steady. "Not a problem. Just some friendly advice. Folks around here don't take kindly to dredging up old stories. Blackwood's history has a way of dragging people down with it." "I'll keep that in mind," Allicia replied evenly, though the warning only sharpened her resolve. Dalton tipped his hat. "Good. But if you find yourself in over your head, you know where to find me." As the sheriff walked away, Allicia couldn't shake the feeling that his words carried more weight than he let on. She climbed into her car, the journal clutched tightly in her lap, and drove home, her mind racing with questions. Blackwood's secrets were starting to close in around her, and she had no intention of turning back.